This is Reimagining Higher Education, your go-to podcast with remarkable education leaders sharing personal stories from their experience in and around the sector, including reflection and hope for progress in the sector. With your host, Professor Judyth Sachs, former PVC Learning and Teaching at the University of Sydney, Deputy Vice-Chancellor and Provost at Macquarie University, and Special Advisor in Higher Education at KPMG, and now Chief Academic Officer at Studiosity. Welcome.
It gives me great pleasure to introduce people to Dr. Albert Chau, who is the Vice President Education at Hong Kong Baptist University. Albert, you've got an object that I asked you to bring that represents your journey as a leader and a learner. So would you like to show it and share it to us, and then we can move our conversation from there?
Sure. This is the object I bring with me. It is a mug from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where I got my PhD in psychology. So that is indeed the birthplace of my academic career. And I pick up a lot of not just academic and research skills, but also how to conduct myself as a staff, as a teacher in a university. And I learned a lot from my professor. I'm forever grateful to him.
So what was in psychology, what was your discipline in psychology?
It was in cognitive psychology. I did a bit of work on psycholinguistics, how we process information of different modalities, so on and so forth. But I also had the opportunity of working in an aviation psychology lab as a project assistant, research assistant. So that is another area of work that I was exposed to. Mm-hmm.
So reflect back on your undergraduate experience and then your experience as an international student in the Midwest, very different from Hong Kong. What was your undergraduate experience like, and then your postgraduate experience like as a student and as an international student?
I see. I did my undergraduate education in Hong Kong, okay, at the University of Hong Kong. And my first degree is actually in engineering.
I saw that.
It wasn't in psychology. I switched when I went to graduate school. So as an undergraduate, I think, of course, we spend time on study, okay? But we also spend a lot of time on other activities. I was an office bearer of a few student societies, and then I lived in a student dormitory. We spent quite a bit of time on sports and other cultural activities. So in my undergraduate days, I would say it was, of course, the formative stage of a person. And because of the involvement in all these extracurricular activities, I pick up a lot of values, you may say, or the way how I interact with people, and organization abilities, so on and so forth. And one thing that I treasure a lot as a residential student is that I got to be highly self-disciplined. Okay, that was actually another thing that I am very grateful to my parents. Once I was admitted to the University of Hong Kong, the very first thing they asked me to do was to move out. They thought I should be independent, and I was fortunate enough to join this student hall. We call it student hall, Ritchie Hall, where I learned from a lot of seniors and trained to be highly self-disciplined.
So your undergraduate degree was about self-discipline, and what about
self-management?
Self-management, right?
Yeah.
So okay, and then you're doing your PhD in a completely different context.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Well, in graduate school, I think we all work very hard. Okay, that was probably the most hardworking days during my school, during my student years. We had to take courses. Okay, in America, in the first few years, we were basically doing coursework, so we were heavily involved in research as well. And then towards the later years, we were working on our dissertation. So we had so much to learn as a young scholar. And then we also had to attend conferences, prepare manuscripts, So that was basically academic work.
Mhm.
Because I'm an international student, as you pointed out, and there were not a lot of Chinese students or Hong Kong students doing psychology back then. Okay, I did my PhD from 1987 to 1992. Okay, psychology was not particularly popular among Oriental students. Okay, so I had the privilege of working very closely with my American colleagues. Okay, and we actually not just work together, but we spend quite a bit of time on, say, beside the lakes. Okay, Judyth, you know, the medicine campus is very blessed with very, very beautiful lakes. So we spend time on the lakeside, having a coffee or at times a beer. And then I also stay with with an American retired couple. Okay, so I rented a room from them in a house. I stayed there for 5 years, and they really treated me as their son. Okay, their children were grown up and they all moved away, so me with another student rented 2 rooms from them, and then say for Christmas, for Thanksgiving, they asked us to join their meals and all that. So that is another very important or very valuable experience, the cultural immersion, the understanding of the American society and culture. And of course, in medicine, there were a lot of other international students as well. So we had a chance to mingle and we had a chance to work together. I got my first friends from Mexico, for example, who were my lab mates. Okay, so these are very, very fond memories of me.
So let's move on to your sort of leadership education career. Hong Kong Baptist is a unique university in the Hong Kong context because it, under a previous president, it started to redefine its role as being a liberal arts university. Is that still the case, or is it sort of recalibrated its focus again with a new president?
We don't necessarily call ourselves a liberal arts university now. Of course, we still have a lot of humanities subjects. Okay, under the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, for instance, we have philosophy, history, Chinese literature, English, you name them, and communication, music, film. But we are a bit concerned that the term liberal arts may think we shy away from technology. But that is not the case. Indeed, that is not the case. At the moment, we have 4 research areas. One is creative media. Second one is health. Third one is humanities and cultures. And the fourth one is actually AI, big data. Okay, so our computer science department is very strong. Of course, they will do their own computer science research, developing algorithms, so on and so forth. But all the other 3 areas are strongly supported by the computer science department. Okay, so we do, for example, under creative media, art tech. Okay, we combine AI choir with a real orchestra and a real conductor, and then they together did a couple of concerts already. And then under humanities and cultures, we believe that there must be a very close dialogue between humanities and technologies. Technologies have brought new issues to the community, to the society, which they may or may not be able to solve. Okay, and we believe that, for example, ethical issues brought by technology should be addressed by our philosophy colleagues, okay, who work on ethics and all that. And then there are also cultural elements of AI tools. Okay, so our colleagues in sociology, Chinese, English are all working on them. Okay, so there should be a very strong dialogue. So these days, we don't use the term liberal arts as much for the very reason that we are indeed integrating or we are promoting the dialogue between humanities and technology. And we have been adopting what we call a transdisciplinary approach in both education and research in the last few years. By transdisciplinary, we mean not only the collaboration between academic disciplines, but also the collaboration between different sectors, the academia, the government, the business, the NGOs, and we all work on the grand challenges, the global challenges that we, the humankind, face as an entity. For example, the SDGs and all that. And we believe such big problems, big issues cannot be fully addressed by a single discipline or a single sector. That's why we have to promote transdisciplinarity.
So the context of our conversation is about reimagining higher education.
Yes.
What was the trigger for you to, in your reimagining, about that sort of transdisciplinary, really a connected, interconnected set of university, a university that was connected with industry, with community, but also with different disciplines?
Well, that doesn't come out of a sudden or from a vacuum. As educators, I know there will be another issue that we'll be talking about. We are facing constant challenges. There are emerging problems that are known or yet to be known, or problems that I believe I cannot even imagine today. Okay, but our responsibility is to prepare students not only for their first job, but indeed a career of maybe 40, 50 years after graduation, and then maybe a personal life of 70, 80 years. People are living longer now, okay? So if we say education is for the future, which is indeed the case, then the future is unknown, and the future is changing so rapidly, okay? And the pace of change is getting faster and faster. So we have been constantly thinking about what the curriculum or what universities should do. And then enters all these grand challenges, okay? Climate change, the pandemic, aging society, issues like equality in the community, that sort of things. So and then the disruptive impact of technologies. So there are a lot of motivating factors for us to rethink, to reimagine higher education almost on a daily basis. Okay, and I lay out the logic behind the transdisciplinarity approach that we are trying to adopt.
So when we think of the current moment, it really is an inflection point about AI. And I remember this time last year, there was great anxiety about AI and it would have negative impacts on higher education. Things have turned around, that in fact, AI will become an enabling technology and it will become a way that integrates ethics in your sense of talking about integration. It will integrate ethics, it will integrate practice, but it will also have an impact on performance and productivity. Tell me how your university has incorporated AI in terms of delivery, but also in terms of ethics and integrity.
Generative AI became highly impactful in late 2022. Okay, just a month or so later, my colleagues were starting to write me email saying that students are employing it as a tool. So how are we going to adjust our curriculum and assessment to accommodate it? Okay, so we quickly prepare a document, a policy paper on the use of AI in our education. There are 4 principles. Okay, the first one is AI empowerment. We empower our colleagues and students to use AI. Okay, we never say we prohibit it. Okay, even if we want to do that, we never wanted to do it. Okay, even if we wanted to do it, I for one don't know how to do it. Okay, but we don't think we should do it. We should limit students' use of it. So AI empowerment, AI critical. Colleagues and students should be well aware of the strengths and weaknesses of AI. And these strengths and weaknesses are changing because the technology is evolving very quickly too. The third one is AI ethical. It is not just about avoiding plagiarism. It is about how to use AI and other technologies to promote the human good. Okay, and then the fourth one, which I like a lot, is how to preserve or promote the humanly uniqueness and creativity. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it has a lot of impact on our curriculum design. Every student will be taking a course with the title AI for Social Good. Okay, and then for assessment, we built in criteria on how well students use AI as a tool. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they may be submitting generations of their assignments, be it an essay, a musical piece, a short documentary, whatever. They let us know how they come up with an initial idea, how they work with AI, give them prompts, how they train it, and then how the AI tool generates different versions of the assignment, and how finally they, as the human author, okay, makes it creative, makes it innovative and unique. So colleagues have to do a whole lot more work. Gone are the days that we just collect a final year, a semester, an essay from a student and then mark it. I don't think we can do it anymore. Yeah.
So what is in a highly competitive higher education environment, and Hong Kong has many outstandingly good universities, what is the mark of a Baptist student or a Baptist graduate? So how do they differentiate themselves when they graduate?
We have a number of graduate attributes. Again, because we focus, a lot of disciplines are in the humanities, creative media. Creativity is one of the features that our students, our graduates, would have. Okay, we nurture that. Communication, the sense of responsibility, and starting from a few years, because of all these challenges, our aim was to prepare students who are future ready. Okay, who are highly adaptive, who are highly accommodating, who will be able to work with peoples, okay, from all over the world, different races, different backgrounds, different aspirations, different abilities. And then starting last year, we thought future readiness was not maybe not sufficient. We want to be a little bit more progressive. Now we want to nurture students who are future shaping, meaning that they will be able to help design, implement, and contribute in future systems, be it a social system, financial system, educational system, art management system, or how to run a museum. Okay, we want them to be able to design and implement those future systems. And in order to do that, they must be well versed in both technology. They know what is available, okay? And they know how to make it suitable for the human user. Or say in the case of a museum, okay, we can have all sorts of animations for presentation, augmented reality, extended reality, but the focus is not on using technologies for the sake of using them. Okay, the focus must be how to enhance the visitor's experience. Okay, so that is what we are trying to work on.
So when you walk around campus and what do students say to you about their experience at Baptist?
Usually, students would appreciate teachers' support, okay? And how we try to rethink education constantly. and prepare them. And we engage them a lot in our discussion about, say, curriculum change, assessment, revisions. And as we are now reforming our curriculum, we involve them in every single committee. And we do, I don't use the word consultation, okay? We might have a blueprint, an initial draft of a policy with prepared by the committee, which has student members. But when we take it out to the larger student population or the to colleagues, we say it is a co-creation or co-design process. Indeed, usually the versions we have after these co-creation sessions are quite different from the initial version that we did. The principles are still there, okay? But again, they keep surprising me, okay? They keep surprising me, providing me and my colleagues with ideas which I, as a rather old man, okay, cannot imagine anymore. Oh, the other thing is that we work very closely with the industry. Again, using AI as an example. Once AI came out, my colleagues and I went to, say, museums, business organizations, NGOs, and start to talk to their staff, not only the top leaders, but also, say, for example, our graduates who just graduated a few years ago, how AI has been transforming their work and the work practice. And that is very, very useful because they are moving much faster than a university, I must admit. Okay.
So what does that mean for you then? That, you know, if universities are seen to be laggers rather than leaders, how is the university responding to that reality and perhaps observation?
We respond. Okay. One thing we have to stay in very close contact with our business partners, okay, community collaborators. And this is through all sorts of mechanisms, for example, committees, okay? And in our curriculum, we do a lot of experiential learning and service learning. We have a very strong network of community partners. So these community partners will tell us, well, in future, what kind of graduates will be able to make a contribution to the society. So we work accordingly. And then within the university, we also need to change our administrative structure. You know, a traditional university is very vertical. We have faculties, under the faculties, departments. But now when we work transdisciplinary, okay, it has to be horizontal. So it has to cut across departmental barriers or administrative arrangements between faculties. So within the university, I mentioned the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences. It is actually the newest faculty in the university. It was formed last year by combining the former Faculty of Arts and Faculty of Social Sciences. Okay, and then the funding model, how we evaluate colleagues' teaching load, all these policies, administrative arrangements have to be adjusted as well. Otherwise, the reform is very difficult to carry out. Yeah.
I've got a couple more questions that I'd like to ask you. We looked back in terms of your own experience. Let's imagine that we're having this conversation in 2 years' time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the challenges you in your job will be facing, but also your university in Hong Kong be facing in 2027?
2027 is a long time, given how fast things are changing. Okay, but I think now some basic principles will still be there. Well, the global challenges are not going away. Mm-hmm. They will only intensify. Yep. Okay, the disruptive impact or by disruptive, I don't necessarily mean a negative sense, okay? The things, because of technology, we have to change the way we work or we live, or how we support, say, for example, the aging population, okay? So all these changes are going to be even faster. And the community expectations of universities and graduates will also be going up constantly. So I think what we need to do is to continue the principles that we have identified and the curriculum reform that we have started. But along the way, we set our vision clear. But along the way, we have to be highly, highly adaptive to all these changes. Before late 2022, we all knew generative AI was around, but the impact on education in teaching and learning and assessment was not that direct. And then all of a sudden it came out and we had to make adjustments within a couple of months. I don't know what is coming out in the next 2 years. Whatever is coming out is in existence, I'm sure. But there are, among all these things that are already in existence, we don't know which one is going to be the most impactful one. Okay. And the other thing that we must do, we have been doing it a lot, but in the next couple of years or in future years, is the promotion of the global citizenship. How students are able to work with peoples or young peoples, okay, from different parts of the world, because all these global challenges would transcend geographical boundaries, okay? So that's why we also work very closely with partners all over the world to promote international exchange, double degrees and all that. And we also do a lot of online activities, for example, hackathons, okay, how to combat climate change. We easily get, say, 200 students from all over the world with a time difference of more than 20 hours from Australia to the western coast of America joining in. So this is the kind of experience that we have been trying to provide for our students.
One of the things that continues to astound me, I was provost at Macquarie University, and I delivered transformational change across the whole university. But there's a paradox amongst academics. They fundamentally dislike change. So how do you, as a leader in a university that is constantly adapting, adopting, and transforming, how do you sell the vision to get people to come along with you?
Communication is extremely important. Involvement of colleagues and students and community partners in the process is extremely important. If the so-called leaders, okay, I don't necessarily want to use that term a lot because I see myself just playing a different role from my colleagues, okay? But if the so-called leaders just trying to reimagine education in their office, it's not going to work, okay? So as I pointed out, what my colleagues and I want to do is we co-create a process together. We co-design together with students and partners. I think that will make things easier. And I'm the first one to admit that I don't know everything. Indeed, I know very little because I've been working in a university almost throughout my life. The business, the community partners, my students always have good things to tell me, okay? And they can master the technologies much faster than me. Okay, so I think the key or my experience is that we go out with a humble heart, okay? Talk to people, learn from them, and co-design, co-create a process.
That's exactly what I did. And the other thing that I did was consult. And just make sure that people, I don't like this word, but have skin in the game, that they actually are excited about the changes, that they feel that they've been listened to, and they feel that they actually have made a contribution. That's certainly that's what I learned from doing fundamentally transformational work.
Exactly.
Two last questions. The first one is, what advice would you give to the younger Albert?
Well, time goes by very quickly. So even if you are the younger Albert, maybe say when I started as an academic, I was around 30 years old. Okay, back then I would never imagine time would go so fast. Okay, and now close to retirement. Okay, so if I had a chance to tell the younger Albert, time goes faster than you can imagine. Okay.
Do anything different? Would you do anything different?
Not really. Not really. If I were to go to now, let me put it this way. If you talk to me, say 30 years ago, I would not be able to say our world is changing so rapidly. I would not be able to say, well, all these global challenges are actually confronting humankind as an entity. I might be thinking more in terms of myself or my academic discipline or Hong Kong as a city. Okay, 30 years ago, if I had this vision, say that the whole world is in their global village, okay, maybe back then I would push internationalization a bit harder. I would push myself in the different fields a bit harder. Yeah.
And my last question is, you would go to many graduations. You would have listened to many graduation speeches, and you would have even, in fact, given graduation speeches yourself. What advice would you give to the class of 2025 at Baptist?
Never stop learning. Never stop changing. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in your friends. Have faith in your teams, in your family, and people around you.
I couldn't agree more. And I think that sense of being curious is often forgotten.
Oh, yeah.
And be curious about things. Just look around you. And my training was in anthropology, so I asked 3 questions.
Yeah.
What's happening? What's really happening? And what does it mean?
Right.
And curiosity is something that sometimes in graduating for the purpose of getting a job is lost. So my actual last question, I misled you saying that this was the last question. This is the last question.
Yeah.
In the work that you're doing in your university, in the transformational work you're doing, how do you build in curiosity as both a mindset, but also as a skill?
For myself and for my colleagues and students, I think exposure is the key. Over my course of, over my career, on many different occasions, when I and my students went to a new place, okay, or talked to a new group of people, they would say, things could be like this, I never imagined. That's the curiosity, okay, that's the excitement, that's the kind of aha experience that keep us going. And the exploration itself is very interesting and exciting. And for my colleagues and myself, teaching is also highly creative and exciting. We don't just repeat, we create. We design or design student learning experience with students and partners. So education is indeed a very blessed profession. Okay, you keep seeing new things, you keep seeing new people every day, and that's how curiosity or inquisitiveness would never die.
And what a great way for us to end our conversation.
Yeah.
But I've very much enjoyed meeting you, but also talking.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
And because it's nearly Hong Kong or Chinese New Year, I'm deliberately wearing a red dress.
Oh, thank you. This is a red tie with the BU logo. You are very mindful of the Chinese New Year.
So Happy New Year, and may the year of the snake be interesting, challenging, but also rewarding.
Yep, same to you. Okay, it will be the year of snake. Okay, so may I wish you happiness and blessings, and also full of rewards. Okay.
Thank you very much.
You have been listening to Studiosity's podcast, Reimagining Higher Education, candid conversations within higher education, sharing stories of leadership, change, and best practice in teaching and learning. Visit studiosity.com.